Welcome back to East Texas Now Weekends. I'm your host, Michaela Goose, joining you live from the East Texas newsroom. We are joined by a pretty special guest right now, Game Warden Chris Swift of Smith County. Here he is with us today. We're going to be talking about a pretty serious issue happening right now in the state of Texas. We've seen an increase of children hurting themselves and accidentally getting into their parents' guns and then accidentally hurting themselves or their family members. And I just want to speak to you just a little bit on the safest way to store these firearms. So let's jump right in. What do you think is the safest way for a parent to store a handgun?
I mean, the safest way to store a handgun is unloaded, no access to ammunition, not one in the chamber, not one in the magazine, just completely unloaded, separated from ammunition. That's the safest way to store one. In a safe, with a gun lock or some kind of a trigger lock, in some kind of receptacle that the kids can't access. Now, where that gets tricky is when you come into home defense.
Now, speaking of home defense, we've heard a lot of parents, and I know in my family, we've had people storing their handguns unloaded, but right next to their ammunition in their nightstand. So that way it's easy to just load it up really quick if you are in that situation. Why is that not the best way to store a handgun?
Well, there's just opinions vary on that. You want to protect your family. We live in Texas, and this day and age, you know, a lot of people have that scenario. You want to have a gun that you can get to, have somebody try to enter your house. So that's where opinions vary on how you should store that. You know, children are curious by nature. So at a certain age, whether it be 3, whether it be 5, you know, a lot of people introduce their kids to the gun to show them what it is, how it works, not to touch it, the repercussions, they'll get in trouble if they touch it. Never go around it, things like that. So that's the way I was brought up. That's the way a lot of law enforcement kids are brought up, is children are curious. If they're going to go over, you might as well tell them what it is and tell them it's a bad thing. And when they get to a certain age, then you can take them to the range and introduce them to how the gun actually works.
And I know you're not a child expert, so if you don't have an answer to this or an opinion, no worries, but do you have an age that you think is best for kids to be taught, this is what a gun is, we don't touch this, this is how we don't touch it, and that sort of thing? Do you have an opinion on that?
To me, it's as soon as the kids can start comprehending, as soon as they know, I mean, bad from good. You don't touch a knife, you don't run with scissors, you never, ever, ever touch a firearm. And, you know, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, but that's one of those things. Hey, when you're 10, 12 years old, I'm going to introduce you to skeet shooting and things like that. And, you know, we'll shoot the pistol when I feel like you're comfortable, shoot the pistol. But let's not only think about our homes, let's think about vehicles as well. That's another place that kids get in trouble, going out and looking for mom's purse or getting their drink they left in there. That's another place. There's a lot of loaded firearms. And then we need to think about our neighbors' houses as well. You need to have that talk with your neighbor. Hey, my kid spends a lot of time over there. What is your policy on pistols and loaded guns and vice versa? So that's one thing people don't think about. That's where a lot of our accidents happen, is in vehicles and at the neighbors' houses.
And I know a lot of people do conceal carry in their vehicle, whether that be in the glove compartment or in the dash right here. What do you think is the best way to safely carry a weapon in your vehicle should you need to use it during that time?
And that's another one where everybody has a different opinion. I mean, if someone's trying to get you, you know, if you're in a high crime area, if you're let's say you're a realtor, or you're a female that's out on her own for work or any reason, that gun, you know, if they feel more comfortable with that gun's loaded and easily accessible, that's fine. It's going to protect them. But they need to have a protocol when they get home. They need to have some kind of a system where they've got that, and then all of a sudden you got 2 kids going to school every day since school started back up. That gun needs to be locked. It needs to be secured. They need to have some kind of protocol. And I think that loops back around to telling the child, you know, what it is, how dangerous it is. It's not acceptable to touch a loaded firearm. Treat all guns like they're loaded. That's where the education comes in.
And I remember those words being spoken to me when I was growing up. My family is a pretty big hunting family. That's the only meat we eat is deer that we've hunted. So my dad told me the same thing. You treat every gun like it's loaded and the safety is off and you do not touch it. Now, speaking of hunting, you don't really use a handgun for that. We use more long rifles and things of that nature. What is the best way to store those shotguns and longer guns? I know a lot of people are putting them in cases underneath their beds. Is that the safest option? And what is a better scenario?
So if the kid is not accessible to ammunition, then the storage is not as important. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a safe. If you're from a hunting family, sounds like you are. I'm from a hunting family. I mean, we're looking forward to September 1st and dove season coming around. My family's used to seeing they're used to seeing guns. That's the way it is, but that doesn't mean that the ammunition is kept in the same place or readily available. As far as hunting goes, bolt action rifles, any kind of a shotgun or anything, there's no excuse to have them in the magazine or have a couple in the magazine of a shotgun because it's easier to load when you get to the field. That's not excusable. If unloaded is unloaded. That doesn't mean it's just there's not one in the chamber. So gun storage to me is not as relevant if the ammunition is not readily available. So separate the two.
And it sounds like, separating the two, you're getting rid of a lot of issues right off the bat if that ammunition is separated. When you say separated, do you mean in another drawer, in another room, completely separated, or would it be possible for them to be right next to each other? Would that be okay?
It just depends on how, the expectation of a 4-year-old kid, being strong enough to pull the breech back on certain guns is different than a 10 or 12-year-old who may have seen how to do it on a video game or something. So I don't think the ammunition necessarily needs to be locked up, but it needs to be on a top shelf. It just needs to be separated to where that accident, you don't have to worry about that happening. If you're going to store a 12 gauge in the corner behind the door, there's no reason in having 12 gauge shells in the same corner behind the door. So that's a difference between home defense and then, hunting purposes. If you have a home defense gun, there's no reason to have any other guns around the house where the ammunition is next to the gun. And let me address one other thing. If you can't afford a safe, and you've got young children at home, let's think about the top shelves and the shelves that you have to get on a step stool to get on. Those are other places that you can get that gun, that firearm high to where you can reach it in a hurry, but the kids can't get up there and reach it. So
I know you probably have a very busy day ahead of you, so I'll let you go, but is there anything else that you think parents or people who have kids coming around their house a lot should know about this issue with guns safely being stored?
I think, we live in Texas and, there's a lot of guns in a lot of houses and, it doesn't hurt to educate the kids. It's part of life, whether you're from a hunting family, agricultural farming family, or you just like to go to the range, or you like to have a gun for self-defense. Let's educate kids. Let's let them know the guns have been around forever. Let them know how harmful they can be. Let them know that they can't touch them, but let them know that one day, when they're of age, that's something that you'll pass on to them. So, like I said in the first, children are they're curious by nature. So let them know what it is. And if they're old enough to let them know how it works with the right supervision, that's fine. There's a right way and a wrong way, but there's a saying in the hunting and the law enforcement business, you don't get that bullet back. You just don't. So one mistake, and it is enhanceable. If you leave it accessible for a child, it's a Class C misdemeanor. If there's serious bodily injury or death, it's a Class A misdemeanor. It's a jailable offense. That's Chapter 46 in Penal Code in Texas.
Alrighty, so it's not just a mistake that could potentially, like you said, you can't get that bullet back, but also you as a parent could be landed in jail pretty quick as well.
Yeah, that's correct.
Alrighty, well, once again, this is Game Warden Chris Swift of Smith County. Thank you so much, Game Warden Swift. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, once again, let's go ahead and turn to a little bit more in depth. Now, as I said in there, and you guys know, I talk about it quite frequently. My family, I come from a smaller size town, pretty country out there, if I do say so myself. I was raised around a lot of farm animals. I was raised going to the deer lease every single weekend. Some of my first steps and first memories are on a lease with my family. So it's something that I am very passionate about. You know, I've been shooting guns since I was a child. Like, that is something that my family taught me very, very young and very early on, is these are guns. This is how they are used. This is how they are not used. You're too young to touch this. You treat every gun as if it is loaded and its safety is off. You do not touch any gun unless it is handed to you and it has been showed to you that there are no bullets in the chamber, the safety is on, and it is unloaded. I will never touch a loaded gun that is handed to me. Back in high school, I went to the range with a boyfriend at the time, and I don't want to brag, I'm a pretty good shot. So I was excited to go to the range. I was going to show him up, and I was very excited. I'm very competitive. And he loaded up his handgun, and I was thinking I was going to load up my own, and we weren't going to trade or anything. I prefer to shoot my own. And he goes, "Here." And then he just goes to hand it to me. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, 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 I don't know you that well. Let's be honest here. Show me it's unloaded. Take the bullet out of the chamber and put that safety on. You're not handing me that with it loaded and with the safety off. You're gonna accidentally shoot me, and that would be my luck, and I would never hear the end of it from my father. So I think open dialogue and open communication are probably the best ways to stay as safe as humanly possible when you do have firearms in your home. Like Game Warden Swift was saying, we're in Texas. We have the right to self-defense here, so you're more than welcome to use it. However, should you own a firearm, you have to keep it locked up. We are seeing an increase in children accidentally shooting their family members or themselves because of this easy access to guns that needs to stop. So once again, that was Game Warden Chris Swift of Smith County.